excited to see many familiar faces here today, and not just familiar faces, but also many new faces here today. I was actually chatting to Joseph yesterday. We were running through what we want to share in this presentation, which will be mostly him, of course. And even as we were doing that, I was getting corporate companies messaging me, can I please have the invitation? So I know this is a really popular session and we're here from all around the world. And I need to first say, how do I know Joseph? Because I've also had those questions. Jane Moores, where do you know Joseph from? He looks like such an awesome guy. And I do see the reason for my connecting with Joseph is someone who has joined, Steph Hugo. So I need to give kudos to Steph to say thank you so much, Steph, for connecting me with Joseph. You're absolutely right. He is such an expert in this field. And I'm really excited, as are all of you, for us to share today in his learning as he talks to us about innovative recruitment, but more specifically, how do we innovate with AI in the room, with chatbots? What are they? What happened to them anyway? And I think we're really excited about this topic, not just from a recruitment perspective, Joseph, but because, as you say, it is across industries. There is no industry that is exempt from that. So for those of you who've been asking about the recording, as you know, we will record the first part of the session. So we'll ask you to please stay muted. And then once Joseph and he's kindly invited Calvin, also an AI engineer, to join us today from Isotron. So after they finish sharing, then I'll stop the recording and then you can unmute and ask any questions you may have. But until then, please do stay muted so that we don't have noises coming into our recording. So a little bit about how our monthly virtual masterclasses work for those of you who are joining today for the first time. I know a lot of you, but for those who I don't, I'm Jane Moores from Outerbox Thinking, and I'm an internationally accredited coach, and I spent most of my working life in the wonderful world of recruitment. Over 25 years, started off managing a region, built and sold my own recruitment business with somebody because everyone was pregnant except for 2 people. And so for the past 17 years, I've really delighted in training internal and external talent acquisition specialists on how to attract and select top talent for their teams. I love what I do. I feel so lucky to do it every day of my life. And I'm excited about this because it's an opportunity for us to learn from other industries. So we can't wait to hear what you have to say to us today, Joseph and Calvin. But I first need to make an apology. I am not Senator Richard Blumenthal, so I cannot start my introduction with an AI voice. But again, I do need to give kudos where kudos are due. And I do need to give kudos to ChatGPT. And when Joseph sent me his biography, he was like, here's the short one. And it was like a densely populated 1-pager. I was like, wow, that's a lot that you've achieved. It's like, ChatGPT, help. And so I'm going to share ChatGPT, the summary that ChatGPT gave me that has been ticked by Joseph. So I will share that. So Joseph Lumbahe is a multifaceted professional specializing in AI and the future of industry. With a diverse background in engineering, IT, consulting, and management, he holds multiple qualifications, including a master's degree in financial engineering and computer science. As a manager and lead AI engineer at Isotron Group and a fraud detection engineer at MTN South Africa, so interesting, that wasn't ChatGPT who said that, Joseph has excelled in high impact roles. He is well connected within the industry through his memberships in professional associations such as IEEE, AAAI, and IITPSA, where he serves on the scientific committee of the IITPSA Programming Olympiad. Recognized for his achievements, Joseph has received notable awards, including the Africa Tech Rising Star Award and the TransUnion Rising Star Award. He's also selected 2023 Obama Leader and a co-founder of Biz54 and Traceroute. Those are 2 ventures aimed at revolutionizing transportation and logistics. So with his technical expertise, leadership, and entrepreneurial acumen, I can't think of anyone better that we'd like to hear from today. And Joseph could hear, he said that last line was again not generated by ChatGPT, but I felt like that's how I feel, and that's how I know a lot of you feel. So Joseph, you're so far in this field already. Welcome, welcome. Please start off by telling us what got you interested in AI in the first place.
Hi, Jane, and hi, everyone. Thank you very much for that great introduction. And I hope that I'm audible enough for everybody here. Yeah, I'm really humbled to be here, and I'd like to actually introduce Calvin that is here with me and thank him for actually coming onto this webinar. And Calvin is one of my engineers. He's mainly working on computer visions, but as well NLP work with me at Isotron. And Isotron, it's a company in Cape Town that mostly work around IoT and AI components. But yeah, so where do I start? And I'd like to apologize if I'm drifting in my way of speaking. I'm French speaking, by the way. French is my native. I did my schooling in Belgium and then came in South Africa to do my tertiary studies, so bear with me on that. So what got me started into AI? I've always been fascinated by the ideas of machine being able to think by themselves. Since very young, I've had great interest within the tech space, computers in general, and I'm a big fan when it comes to the gaming industry. And so when I got to university in South Africa, I started with UCT with electrical and computer engineering. All that was about electronics and embedded systems and everything around computer and engineering. So I love that. I did love that. And I love the challenge that I encountered during my degree. But then once I graduated, I started working into an electrical company in South Africa. But then I quickly realized that engineering is not it's not quite what you think it is, especially for the field that I was studying in SA. The market demands on that end wasn't that great. But then suddenly my interest shifted. And I started, showing great interest for artificial intelligence, started with machine learning and all of that. So I actually started upskilling myself on that end and did another degree in purely computer science to understand the underlying foundation in AI. And I did that at the University of the Western Cape in South Africa, in Cape Town. And that allowed me to delve deeper into the field. And eventually, I realized that the real world has a potential for AI. And it wasn't just science fiction for me anymore, because I started seeing possibility to create intelligent systems that can improve lives, optimize process. It opened new realm of knowledge that really captivated me and drew me into that field. And since then, I've been growing into that field and expanding on there.
Very interesting. Yeah. Merci, Joseph. Je
peux
parler un peu de français aussi. Mais
Je peux voir que tu parles bien français.
Voilà. So, Joseph, I think that's exciting, the way that you always knew there was more and you were always interested in more. So if you look across industries at the moment, in your view, what is the impact of AI on industries in general?
That's actually a great question, because not everybody actually get to look at AI into that broad spectrum and understand that its impact is actually on all industries. People often think that AI is only something that tech folks should use. It only involves the tech industry and IT, but the reality of things is that AI has a major impact on industries all over the world, and it doesn't matter what industry it is. It can be healthcare, it can be the business industry, it can be non-technical to technical industry. AI still apply. And the funny thing is that that fact does not hold true when it's the other way around. Right? AI is applicable everywhere, but not the other way around. And in some industries, AI is being used to automate tasks that were previously done by humans. And in other industries, AI is used to improve decision making and customer services and etc. For example, AI is being used in healthcare industry to diagnose diseases, in financial industries to detect fraud, in the retail industry to recommend product to customers and all of that. all your Netflix that you watch every day, that's all AI recommendations happening there. Your YouTube that gets you stuck overnight for 1 hour instead of doing some productive work, that's still AI. So AI has already had a transformative impact across multiple industries. In healthcare, AI is actually being used to predict for predictive analytics and personalized medicine, and to even improve diagnostic. AI can do better job than an actual doctor, professional doctor could do. In finances, I mentioned fraud detection, but that also allow companies nowadays to optimize on trading. And in the automotive industry as well, it's literally driving the development of autonomous vehicles. And in retails, we have customer experience, managing inventory, optimizing logistics, and these are just few examples to show you how AI is expanding on such a broader spectrum, and it's enabling businesses to make better decisions and optimize their operation, and that really helps to create a personalized customer experience and innovate their offering. And one of the biggest things that AI have had an impact on is eventually improving your productivity, something that people used to do in a space of months or weeks. With AI can be done in a space of few minutes or just hours, and that's just amazing.
Yeah, I love that. Love the time-saving element that I've experienced in my capacity, which is definitely, not comparable to yours, but I've already started seeing that and loving it. But Joseph, tell us a little bit more. You mentioned innovation, and I think a lot of the people here today are in the wonderful world of recruitment, either recruiting for themselves or for their clients. And in that, you talked about how there's a role of AI, and there's also been a role of chatbots. And I know when I see the word chatbot, I'm like, oh, I can't stand chatbots.
Yeah.
But please tell us a little bit more about AI, chatbots, automation. Yeah, what's the difference? How can we be innovative with AI?
Okay, well, so there's actually such a great confusion around chatbots and AI. Chatbots are not AI, and AI is not chatbots. But then AI and chatbots are both computer programs, right, that can interact with human beings. But then there are some key differences between the two. And AI is a broader term that would refer to any computer program that can eventually learn and make decisions. But chatbots, on the other hand, it's just a form of automation, and in certain cases, a type of AI that is specifically designed to interact with human beings in a natural language conversation. But as you can, you've experienced that. I guess that's why you hate chatbot, James, because they never really answer you the way you expected. They don't provide you the information that you'd like, right? It lacks that that human, that ability to interact in a human-like way, right? So AI, as well, you'd refer to AI as a broad field of study and application that aims to create machines capable for intelligent behavior. And AI can include machine learning, natural language processing, which is probably the most hot topic in AI nowadays with ChatGPT. That falls under the NLP side of things, natural language processing. And we have computer vision, and we have more. Like there's multiple subfields within the AI space. And something that I can say is that a chatbot, on the other end, is more of a specific application of AI technologies that is simply designed to respond to a specific set of questions. And these interactions are often text-based or voice-based in some instances, and they occur on various platforms like websites, mobile apps, and messaging platform. But let me actually bring it down to actual main topic of today. In the context of recruitment, AI can actually be used to streamline and optimize the process in many ways. And it can really help in sourcing candidates by analyzing large data sets to find individual best match with respect to the actual job requirements. Or you can eventually have, it can also automate all your repetitive tasks that takes hours. from resume screening to scheduling interviews and all of that. And chatbot, as a part of AI, can actually play a crucial role in candidate engagement and experience. And they can be used to answer common questions. I mean, at Isotron, I'm manager and lead AI engineer for the AI department. I do take care of all the technical interviews within my department. And so it happens that at instances I have to deal with a crazy amount of CVs, and it takes forever for me to go through those CVs. But we'll talk about that in a moment. But then, yeah, and you get to realize that candidates often ask common set of questions. They always, so the chatbots can actually be used to help you automate and answer those common type of questions, provide feedback, and guide candidates through the application process in real time. And that can also save you time and increase your actual candidate satisfaction, I think. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Joseph. And I know that you said you'd actually put some thought, and you and Calvin wanted to share some recruitment specific ideas or tools that people could use. Have I got that right? Am I understanding correctly?
Yeah,
I'd love to know more about that. I can see even there's a comment there in the chat box from Freeney. I'd love to know how to do what Joseph is doing.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's multiple sources to remain to stay up to date with what's happening into the industry. But because we're right now on this topic talking about how can AI be used within the recruitment space and what kind of tool could we use, I've actually just worked over the weekend onto something quickly, and this morning I asked Calvin to put up something for this for the purpose of this demo. So I think that I'm just gonna take over the screen if you don't mind, and then just to you. So I think Calvin, you can go ahead with your demo, right? You can talk us through that. Yeah, yep. So what Calvin will demonstrate to you right now is eventually everybody is aware of ChatGPT. I'm sure you've all used ChatGPT by now. If you haven't, then you'll be left behind very quickly. I'll advise you to get back on track because, and I mentioned that to Jane, there's this whole concept of AI will replace us all human, will take our jobs and everything. But I say that's not true. What's going to happen, I gave her that statement, is that a person using AI will replace you, but AI will not replace you, right? So if I use AI and I apply for a job post at your company, the job that takes you 4 weeks to do, I'll do it in an hour. Trust me, your manager will kick you out of the door. I mean, that's just a fact. It's productivity. We're in an era where data is, data is being generated every second, and the more job you can get done, the better. But yeah, I'll just let Calvin jump onto that. Calvin, do share your screen and yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks Joseph. Cool. So hi everyone. I'm just going to give you a very quick demo as to something we put together. As Joseph's mentioned, I'm sure most of you are aware of ChatGPT and its sort of abilities. It's really great at being able to have these natural sounding human-like conversations with people. It makes it very easy to interact with. The one thing that ChatGPT is not great at, though, is getting really specific context on certain things. So as Joseph mentioned earlier, perhaps you have a candidate that's looking to apply with your company, but they need some more information specifically around your company, maybe the policies, the type of hiring schedules that you run. So that's where ChatGPT sort of falls short. And I'm just going to take a little demonstration here. I'm using the GPT 3.5 Turbo model. This essentially is what ChatGPT is running off. So this should give us very similar responses to as if you're using ChatGPT yourself. And I'm just going to ask it very quickly to tell me about Outerbox Thinking. And now, because ChatGPT has been trained on this very large set of data, essentially scraped from all across the internet, there was a cutoff period to 2021. So if you try ask it for more recent information or very specific context, you'll see here it says, I'm not too sure what you mean by out-of-box thinking. Did you perhaps mean out of the box thinking? No, that's not really what I was saying. So you can see this is one of the limitations with ChatGPT. Now, what we've actually done and found is that we've created a custom tailored set of data, and we can do this around any company quite simply. We've taken some of the publicly available data from Outerbox Thinking. So if I ask it the exact same question quickly.
Awesome. Thanks, Calvin. I didn't know you were going to do this. This is interesting.
Yeah, so I'll ask it the exact same question quickly. And you can see I made a slight typo there, but that shouldn't worry to the model because it's quite good at understanding when we make mistakes. But if you give it a moment, and while that's processing, I'll kind of just explain what's happening in the background. So what we've done is we've taken all of the information that's available on the Outerbox Thinking website, and we've condensed that down into a store, a data store, that essentially the model can actually go and ask based on the questions you're asking. Oh, let me go and refer back to the context that you've given me to actually be able to find the correct answer and give you an appropriate response based on that. So you can see here, it tells us Outerbox Thinking is a company that provides coaching, innovation, and talent engagement services. So if I ask very quickly, what services do they provide? And we'll let it think for a moment. And the benefits here is that you don't need an agent to be on call all the time to be able to answer one or several, candidates' questions on the fly. They can make very informed decisions before even getting to the steps in the process where you would have to have these back and forth interactions, perhaps taking a couple hours of time of meetings. You can see here that we get coaching training, individual coaching, group coaching, leadership, so on and so forth. And I see there's team coaching here as well. So let's just ask a little bit more about that. So tell me more about the team coaching. And now we're really kind of getting into the specifics of individual services that Outerbox Thinking offers. So you can see there's quite a level of detail that you can actually extract from this, but it's still being presented to you in a very natural, sort of fluid conversation sounding way. It's not like your traditional chatbots where you have to ask a very specific question and you get a very specific answer back. It sounds much more like a human interaction here. You can see it's given us a little bit of a description as to what the team coaching ensues. And then let's just say that I'm quite happy with this. How can I contact Outerbox Thinking to book a team coaching session? So now we've kind of gone through the customer journey, we've learned more about the product, and now we've decided that we want to actually engage. So once again, you need a certain set of information. And here you see it says you can contact Outerbox Thinking by sending an email to info@Outerbox Thinking to book a team coaching session. They have offices in Cape Town and London. You can also visit their website for more information on their services. So what you can see here is that we've got a very tailored set of information that provides us context into the company to give applicants and just people looking for more information on that company much more understanding and insight without actually having to engage or take away any one person's time. We found this very useful, specifically within the technical sector. If you have non-technical people trying to get a technical report on something they perhaps don't understand very well, so that they can provide feedback to a client on the technical requirements, they then need to take time out of that technical resources day to get them to be able to convey the information across to you. Whereas with something like this, if you just have your technical documents uploaded and contextualized into this sort of chatbot, then you can actually just go and query the chatbot as someone from an HR system without having to take too much time out of your technical resources days. And this allows you and your entire team just to be a lot more productive. And I think Joseph touched on this already, is that the biggest benefit around all of these AI tools is just being able to increase your productivity and get a lot more done to a much higher standard in much shorter time. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed that. And yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks very much, Calvin, for that. I mean, this alone, we actually put that in a matter of hours. That was something I reached out to Calvin one time. was it 7 a.m. or 8 a.m.? I was like, hey,
I think it was at our 8 a.m. meeting.
I need us to be having this working by so yeah, so that shows you how important AI have become. But then again, you see, this is a chatbot, but I presume that it's a chatbot that a lot of people in the audience liked. It's not your typical chatbots. Why? Simply because what we did, we use a chatbot and we embed AI behind a chatbot. So that makes what happens is that a chatbot is simply smarter than any other type of chatbot out there. It knows about Outerbox thinking out of the blue. How did that happen? Like over time, right? There's nobody sitting behind this chatbot answering. It's real-time responses, human-like responses, and your candidate, they always ask questions like that. They always want to know your hiring process. They always want to know about the type of, services department that you guys have, and this comes very handy. It definitely comes handy. And
I love it.
Yeah, so that, I guess, it's something that is quite interesting.
Yeah, I think I love what you're saying, Joseph, and thank you for sharing that, Calvin. And that's amazing that you guys can just do that in a couple of hours. And I see there are definitely questions in our own chat box here, with no chat bot to answer it right now, but on that. So we'll definitely need to ask those questions at some point. Which we will do. But I think what I love is that you're emphasizing the human connection, because I think as humans, we want a human connection. And as AI is increasing, we're more and more concerned about, we still want to be connected to people. So I think the thing that annoyed me so much about chatbots is it's so static, and it's so like frequently asked questions. And if it doesn't fit into that, it's just so doesn't fit.
Very true.
Fluid is people can, as you say, take time to process and ask all the information that they would normally ask someone who would like to give them, but maybe wouldn't have the time to give them. That would take away from other human connecting tasks. So now they can do that, and then they can engage with the recruiter or the leader or whoever it is around the other questions, the ones that aren't focused around finding out more information. So I really love that. I know somebody did ask in there, does this kind of AI integrate with an applicant tracking system? I know that we talked about how an ATS is like an automated type software.
I'll actually touch on that. Yes, that was something that I liked. I'll actually touch on that, and I'll actually demo you something that I've put down as well. So ATS systems, I know most recruiting companies out there, they use ATS system, and LinkedIn as well has a scanning tool that scans over people profiles and match them to. But the problem is that that's not AI. ATS doesn't use AI, and all those tools that you have out there around recruitment do not use AI. What's happening with the system is they're pretty much just matching keywords. A person that literally did not study computer science can just fill his CV with a bunch of AI words, and it will bring you that CV. But then that's definitely not the applicant you want, because the information you get on that CV does not match the experience that you're expecting for that specific job requirement. So, so one thing to understand is that ATS system, to my view, really needs a lot of improvement. And whoever invented the ATS system, if they do not embed AI into it, they'll be replaced very quickly by some other company that will come up with some AI recruitment tool. And it will just become deprecated. If you allow me, I'd like to share my screen to share some.
Please,
to show something. Right, I'll go ahead.
And Joseph, there is another question as you're going ahead with that. Can you also answer at some point how to install this, or is that something perhaps that someone must connect with you on afterwards?
Okay, I'll get back to that. If we could keep that for the Q&A session, I'll definitely respond to it.
Awesome.
Right. Awesome. So just a quick short presentation here on AI and chatbot within the recruitment space. Calvin basically demoed this smart chatbot that we have right here. So, but then I need to emphasize that the recruitment industry really needs to adopt large language models. And large language models are the type of AI within the NLP space, natural language processing. And it's basically things like what GPT is based on. GPT is basic. I mean, ChatGPT, sorry, is based on GPT, which is a large language model, and that was trained onto GPT 3.5 was trained onto billions of parameters, and GPT-4 was trained onto trillions of parameters. And that's just gathering all the data over the internet, and then they eventually train the model. And then now your chatbot, in this case, ChatGPT, is able to find context around all of that. And so this element, this type of new AI, because the recruitment space, when you think about it, recruitment space revolves around data, text data. It's your user, it's what they say, their feedback. It's basically their CVs, what they wrote, the work that they have. And it can also incorporate things like there's a conversation, a video, and everything. So all that data can actually be handled using LLMs and produce amazing work for you. And Jane, I heard you saying about how you hate chatbots, and I mentioned that to you. I was chatting with a friend yesterday. She's from Pretoria, and on a random chat, she just sent me this screenshot of a picture. What is my bank account, my bank access number? And then this was the response from a chatbot. Please give me a moment, blah, blah, blah. And then seems like you haven't purchased prepaid electricity before. Would you like to buy electricity? But that was not a question. You see,
Yeah.
the chatbot just throws at you responses that it thinks is useful. But as a customer, the frustration comes from the fact that you're telling me things that I did not ask, and you completely offset. And I did ask her permission if I could share that, hence I'm actually able to share it. So yeah, so I'm actually gonna demonstrate something to you as well that I've put. So here we have 2 CVs from Willem Mullen. So he's a software engineer. We do have a CV about him, and here we have another CV from Amir as well. So a few months ago, I think 2 months ago, I had posted a job application on LinkedIn, and then I had about 200 CVs that got thrown for that engineering position, that computer vision position. And what happened is that I was so busy. So whilst I was busy in my department, these 200 applicants are still expecting a response from me. And if you've been on LinkedIn, you know the one thing that applicant complains about recruiters is the fact that they don't get feedback. They don't get response on time. Sometimes they send a CV and then they just don't know if it was ever read or not, right? So I had 200 CVs, and it was just it required a crazy amount of time from my end to go through them. But then, and then the problem is that when you start skimming through CVs at a very high speed, you have your 200 CVs. What's going to happen is that you might end up skipping an actual good applicant, an applicant that have very good skills. It's just because you've been going through the 200 CVs so fast that you're missing the point. You might miss some important element. The person might have a great work experience just because his CV, for example, does not have a correct structure. We discard it, but then he's actually the best applicant among the 200. So, but how can we make that better? So I've built this over the weekend. That was, I think, Saturday or Sunday. So it's eventually a portal that allows us to query about a certain amount of CV that we have. But for demonstration purposes, I have a folder with these 2 CVs, as you saw, Willem and Amir. So we're eventually going to ask questions around these 2 CVs as a recruiter. Let's say I have my 200 CVs, and I want to know which one fits the job requirement that I've posted. Just to check, Jane, are you able to see my screen, right?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just gonna type a question here. Which candidate have a degree in information systems, for example? Because as a recruiter, you actually want to be filtering down, right? You have a bunch of CV, and what you're trying to do is filter down from your 200 candidates. I've had candidates studying art and applying for an AI position. I just didn't know the relationship there. But the point is, you want to filter down so that you have outliers like this noisy data from your pool of 200 CVs to eventually be be removed so that your selection is easier, and then you can eventually contact those candidates. So here it says Amir has a Bachelor of Commerce in Information System from the University of the Western Cape, and it gives you the source document, because you're not going to scroll through 200 CVs to find out which CV it was. It tells you exactly which CV did it pull that information from. And I'm actually going to open that CV quickly. If we come to Amir, and as you can see here, the document name is Amir plus Dawari and CV, and that's actually the document name, right? And if I go down onto his education side, you'll see Bachelor of Commerce in Information System, University of Cape Town. But what's the beauty of that? It's that it added context. It didn't just speak to you, copy paste this. What it did, it spoke to you as a normal human being would have. Amir has a Bachelor in Commerce and Information System from the University of the Western Cape. It didn't just say Bachelor of Commerce, blah, 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 University of Western Cape. And it actually discarded the date, because that's not really what you asked. So what it did here, it understand the context of that CV and eventually process what's in there and understand what you are asking, and does the semantic of that and matches it with what it understood from that CV. And that's the power of LLM, large language models, and eventually formulated an answer in a human-like way and spit that to you as a user. As in this case, the HR. I can come up with another question, which I'm going to ask 3-4 more questions, and then we'll carry on due to time. Which candidate, for example, have a programming experience in Python? I've asked that. Just something, an extra bit of information on the previous question that I asked. If you look at Willem, for example, he did not do information system, and you can tell that the chatbot or that platform eventually provided us correct answer because of us who studied information system, and it does not have any information system skills whatsoever. And here I've asked who has programming experience in Python, and Willem does. So that's a great thing. Yeah, I can see right here he has Python, right? But then and then I'll go ahead and ask something that has, I'm sure none of these applicants would be able to satisfy. Which of the candidate? Which of the candidate would be able to fit a role that requires knowledge? I'm actually intentionally gonna introduce spelling mistakes, right? Knowledge in chemistry. I'm actually gonna say I instead of Y. So the nice part is that because it has, it understands context, it can understand your spelling mistakes. A chatbot, you throw that to a chatbot, it will completely lose its mind. So here it tells you, no, none of the candidates have knowledge in chemistry, which is true, and it tells you it checked in this CV and it also checked in that CV. So none of them has knowledge in chemistry. Do the candidate, if in Cape Town, it will provide us a response. Yeah, the candidate lives in Cape Town. So yeah, so that's more of, where's my window? I'm back here and I'm gonna stop sharing. So this is eventually what LLMs and artificial intelligence is able to do. You can see that capability. I was literally able to filter down in a pool of CV those that fills the requirement that I really want, because you cannot trust applicants to click on submit only if they satisfy those requirements. Even though they're done, they'll still submit the CV to try their luck. I understand. But as a recruiter, you want to make your work efficient, your operation, increase your operation time, and all mundane tasks and monotonic tasks can just be handled by AI. So yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Joseph. And I think what I love as well about that is the recruiter's life is made easier. You focus on the right things. It's not just a keyword search, and now you've got to still develop a context yourself. But I also like the impact on the candidate experience, whereas before, if you wanted to have some filtering, that candidate would be needing to answer those multiple questions in their application, which is very bulky. And part of the reason a lot of candidates drop off. They don't want to go through this lengthy process as well as upload their CV. And as you said, it answers in a human way. So I love all of those things about it. And I know there are multiple questions coming up in the chat box that we will get to.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Is there anything else you wanted to add on that, Joseph, before I ask you one or two more questions, then we can open up?
No, I guess one of the reasons why you do have those predefined online form where candidate has to refill again whatever they have into the CV. I presume that there's some governance around it, but one of the reasons as well is because you'd like to capture the information that you're looking for. But then to the candidate, it's an annoying and painful process to create a profile, to do all of that when everything is in the CV. So by then, having this, LLMs and artificial intelligence, it eventually alleviates that pain from both the recruiter and the actual applicant, and it really makes life easier. Yeah.
Love it. Thank you. So Joseph, I know that as we sit here, you talk about how you and Calvin, in a couple of hours or here and there, you just develop things and you develop tools. And I've even become a stalker on your WhatsApp status, because every time I go to your WhatsApp, there's a new tool on your WhatsApp status. I'm like, wow, that is fun. I especially love the one, I think I really had a vision for interviewing people, which it was the one which is rendering your experience with somebody when you're online.
3D rendering.
A 3D rendering. I love it. I think it'll make interviews so much more connected and human and personal.
Most definitely. Yeah, it's a Google project that is ongoing, but then they're still working on it. It's currently on a prototype phase.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
But I think with that, Joseph, what I sense is a lot of us, and I felt this also, this flurry of, there are so many tools. We've got to stay ahead. We can't, as you say, the people who don't want to be replaced are the people who need to learn AI. And I shared a scary story with you this week already when I was training that global team. And I talked to them about using ChatGPT for some of their processes. And they said, no, we're not allowed to use AI. And as you said, those are the people who are in the dangerous situation, not us who are trying to learn. But if we're wanting to learn, how do we stay ahead with the trends, with what's available, with finding the right AI without getting somewhere and someone's like, oh, use this. And then you get there and it's almost like the free version is gone and now you can't get into it. So please tell us how to stay updated, how to find them.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to answer that question, but I think that I'll let Calvin take this one. I think he's definitely well suited to answer you on that.
Yeah, thanks, Joseph. So Joseph says that because he knows almost every single morning I send him about 3 or 4 messages with new AI tools that I've discovered over the evening.
Wow.
So I think with the emerging boom of all of this AI technology over this year, right, people have become a lot more aware, especially in the public space now. And people are kind of sharing this on LinkedIn, on Twitter. There are various different sources of news where you can actually consume the stuff. But that's obviously quite tedious to go through and keep up to date on. You have to make sure you're following the right people. You have to make sure you're getting the right news at the right time. It can get quite tedious. There are multiple sites that myself and I know many others in our company use. I can share my screen very quickly and just give you a short demonstration as to what these look like. You have, for example, websites such as Futurepedia. These are curated websites with lists of tools. And I'll link these websites in the chat as well so people can go and check them out. But you can see how you can actually filter by free pricing tiers, as well as many others, browser extensions, mobile applications, so whatever you kind of want to look for. And then you can also go through your different sort of topics. So let's say I'm looking for a copywriting AI that is also free. I can then go ahead and check out any of these different tools that you have here. So as I said, there's many websites that are kind of emerging with this trend. Most of them do kind of offer weekly update newsletters. This kind of gives you a very curated, top 5, top 10 AI tools in the space. Another one that I find very useful as well is futuretools.io. It's very similar. You can see you can kind of just filter by your specific categories and try and find the exact tool that you're looking for. So I'll share both of those sites in the chat so that people can go ahead and look for them. But I think with this boom in AI and the public sector taking so much interest, it's sites like these and people with the real true interest in AI development and tools and keeping up with all of those trends who are curating these websites that really are providing a huge amount of value for people who might not just have the time or the experience or the technicality to be able to actually go through and do all of that research themselves.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Calvin. That's really like a pot of gold you've just shared. So thank you. And I think speaking to Joseph as well, and I asked him, I said, if people want to develop their own AI tool and something that can perhaps sync with what they have already, and just say, Joseph, Calvin, we need something that does this. Can you do it? And I know he said yes. So please, for those of you who want to develop something specific that you can use that meets your needs, please do feel free to connect with Joseph and Calvin. You can connect with them on LinkedIn. I'll put their links into the chat box, their URLs. And I know that they'll also be able to answer any other questions. But maybe we can end off with just any tips you have, either for the starters in this industry or for the people who are already way ahead like you are. Any advice or tips that you have for people wanting to grow in their AI knowledge and tools?
What I'd say is that when it comes to people, you have two categories, right? You have beginners and you have those that are more experienced. And when it comes to beginners, I'd say start with basics. Learn about basics of AI, including machine learning, deep learning, and natural language processing. There are many free resources and courses available online. And have hands-on experience. Try to get as much hands-on experience as possible for this, and work on small projects, participate into publicly available project, and networking. For me, I think like networking is the best thing you can do to yourself. That's why LinkedIn is literally the only online platform that I am at. You won't find me on Instagram or Facebook. Your LinkedIn has done amazing things for me. It's such an amazing platform when you connect with the right people. And that networking helps you to connect with people in the field and attend webinars and workshops and conferences and all of that. But the point is, start small. Don't try to implement AI across all your entire business all at once. You will just fail. That's something that I can tell you. Just start small. Small project, test that you can use to test the waters, and then see how can AI benefit your business. Because many companies just put AI on top, of the head, AI in everything, thinking AI is the solution, but AI is actually not. It's making things worse. So it's not always about AI. But for experienced folks out there, just for beginners as well, be patient. AI is a complex thing. It's not traditional programming. So be patient with it because it can get very complex. For experienced folks out there, I'd say keep learning. AI is rapidly evolving. ChatGPT came out, got announced last year in November, I think, Calvin, right? In November last year. And then in a space of few days, it reached millions. And everybody shifted to GPT. And then if you're not keeping up to date, you'll be left behind. And there's a company called Chegg. They do online tutoring for students and in university when it comes to the tutorials or assignments. So when ChatGPT came out, every student went to ChatGPT. And what happened is that stock market, Chegg valuation went like that. So Chegg is literally losing everything right now. But on the other end, there's a company called Khan Academy. Instead of being left behind, what they did, they were smart enough to incorporate ChatGPT within the tutoring platform, which actually enhanced the experience. And then instead of them going down the hill like Chegg, they were going up the hill. So it's all about how fast do you jump on that adoption curve. Stay up to date, keep learning, and be open to new ideas, and share the knowledge, because by sharing, you eventually able to develop powerful AI technologies.
Oh, love that. Thank you. Thank you so much, Joseph. And thank you, Calvin. I really appreciate you joining Joseph and for all that you've shared. It's super inspiring and wonderful to know what's out there. And this is just the beginning. And as you say, there really is no choice. I was speaking to somebody in our coffee shop this morning who uses AI as well. And I told him also about people who are unwilling to use it. And he said, that's crazy. I mean, it's like almost like when the cell phone came out and people would say, no, we're not going to use it. Just not going to work. So thank you again so much.